everybody, 9 o'clock, Saturday night, live from Mike's Garage. Thanks for joining in. Listen, we got so much to talk about tonight. I got some comments I wanted to go over, and there's so much happening in the world today. Not that we're going to solve any problems here, but, give me some comments, and let's see what you wanted to talk about. But I wanted to thank the new subscribers that we have here at Mike's Garage, and I really enjoy doing this. And, I like getting the help here from the guys, get this all set up. Usually they walk away and go watch from the other side of the studio. Actually, they go down to the studio while I'm out in the garage. So that works out. Hopefully everything's okay. I see the microphone is pulsing. I'm on camera, it looks like, so let's get started here. Welcome to Mike's Garage, Saturday Night Live. I like doing this. We're going to continue to do this for a while. See if we can get up a bunch of subscribers going on here. I did want to talk about the subscribers. We're up to 752 subscribers, which is excellent. Still looking to build it up. We got to get to 1,000 or more. So tell your friends if you enjoy the show and you enjoy the shorts and the little videos that we're putting up. Hit that subscribe button and let's keep building up the audience here. I really enjoy this. So listen, I wanted to thank the new subscribers. I think in the last 30 days, I picked up about 30 subscribers. So that's one subscriber per day. I guess the beginning of September was today, October 1st. The beginning of September, I just broke 700. So I picked up 52 subscribers in 30 days, which is pretty good. So if you want to get to 1,000 and you're getting 30 to 50 a month, it takes you years to get to 1,000, trust me. So it's not easy, but I enjoy doing it, so we're going to keep plugging away. So thank you for being a subscriber. I keep getting comments from Ryan and the other guys, TJ, Ryan Harris. I just enjoy hearing from everybody, so keep that up. I wanted to talk about the rain. I put up a short today. We're at the soccer game. It was raining like crazy. We had about a 30, 40 mile an hour wind, and the rain was pretty hard, kept off and on raining. But the kids went through it. Little girls team, they usually has 8 players on each team. 5 of them showed up today on each team. So nobody had any substitutes. The 5 girls had to play the whole game, and they did an excellent job. So my hat's off to them. I tip my hat to you, ladies, for hanging in there. Second graders, and they played an excellent game today. They were full of mud. They had a good time, I think. A lot of the adults came, struggled through it. Umbrellas, raincoats, what do they call them, ducks, the waterproof boots. It was great. It was a fun time. And the kids that were there with the parents being spectators, they were a little annoyed with it. I kept getting asked if it was almost over. Grandpa, was it almost over? So he wasn't really thrilled about being there, the little guy. So we had a lot of fun with that. But the rain was the remnants of the hurricane, Ian, down in Florida. Now, if you're watching the news, and who can't help but see the news about what's going on down there, it's horrible. I'd really be surprised if things ever get back to normal down there. It's different. I'll tell you a little story. Years and years ago, we used to hang out in a place at the Jersey Shore called Sea Isle City. We had a place, family house there. It was about 5 houses from the beach. It was pretty nice. It wasn't always 5 houses from the beach. It was probably 10 houses from the beach at one time. A hurricane came back in, I think it was the 60s or maybe 70s. And it washed away most of the beach, and it washed away the first 3 houses on the beach. So when you cross the street to go into the next block, there was only 1 house, and then there was the beach. It was nothing. They had to dredge it up, build the dunes up, plant dune grass, get it to grow back, but they never let the people rebuild their houses there because there was nothing there but water. It washed the lots away. I'm really going to be surprised to see what they do down there. Now, if you look at the aerial videos about where the land was, where these buildings were, and then you look at it now, the erosion that took place, there's hundreds of yards of beach that are gone. It's water now. So the whole beach line has changed. The pier, the highways, all of those things have washed away. That, I think it's Sanibel Island, that has changed its shape. There's a good portion of the island that eroded away. So they're not going to be able to, well, I can't say they're not going to be able to, but I think the conversation came up way back when New Orleans was underwater about whether or not they should allow these people to build houses again when it's so dangerous where they're living because they're below sea level. So if you get the heavy storm with the heavy rains and the pumps fail, because if you've ever been down there, the ground where the houses are is below sea level, and they have levees built all around it, and they have pumps that continually pump the water out so that it's dry in there. It's always kind of soggy, I guess, but it's underwater. So if you shut off the pumps, it would fill up again, and you couldn't be there. So I don't know why they spend all that money to keep all those big pumps running to pump it all out of there. Really, they should relocate the whole thing and let Mother Nature have it because it's so expensive to try and do that. Now, I don't want to lose New Orleans. I'm not trying to be cold-hearted about it. But now you look at all the money they dumped into that to rebuild the levees and rebuild the pumps. The houses that they're building are up higher on stilts because a lot of people had single-level houses and they get stuck in the attic. And you can only spend so many hours in the attic before it gets so hot and humid you can't stand it. You have to get out there. And people were punching holes in their roof from the inside to get out and try to get some fresh air. So that's going to be the number one problem. If you've ever been in a disaster like that, here's a couple things. I used to work for a utility years ago. First thing you have to do is you have to go in and clear the debris. There's thousands of boats that are blocks away from the ocean. All those things have to be pulled out of the way, okay? So they got to get in there. They got to load all those things up on a trailer. The owners have to come and claim it to drag it away, or they're just going to take it away to some kind of a holding place where you have to go claim your boat or get your insurance adjuster to see it and say it's no good. So that has to be done first. Second thing, you have to clean up all the debris, and the homeowners at some point have to be let back in to try and search through their property to see if there's any family things, family photographs, family albums, things like that they can salvage, that they can save. Probably not, okay? Anything, any car or anything that's been submerged in salt water, it's done. It may take a year, 18 months for it to rust and corrode, but it's going to. Salt water is the worst, okay? So a lot of the cars were underwater. You have to go back and you have to reclaim the cars and all that and clean all that stuff out of there. Now, what are you left with? You're left with a lot that has an electric wire hooked up to the pole, and the wire runs down to the lot where the house used to be, okay? Well, you just can't turn the power on with that going on. So the power company now has to come in. This is the third step, okay? So you get the boats and stuff out of there. Then you get the debris and everything out of there, and the homeowners come in and search through the debris to see if there's any family things that they have in there that they want to try and save, okay? And then they have to bulldoze it or whatever they do, crush it, take it away in dump trucks. Some places are going to burn it, but they have to clean all that out of there. Then the utilities have to come in, and they have to remove all the down feed wires that go to a lot where a house used to be. All that has to be disconnected before they can turn the power on, okay? So that's probably day 3, all right? So you got day 1 for the quick cleanup, then you got the serious cleanup and search, probably search and rescue kind of a thing. And day 3, the utilities can come in and start disconnecting the wires that go nowhere because you can't turn the power on if the wire's coming off of the pole into a puddle on the street. That's even more dangerous. People get killed. So once they go through the line and they make sure all that power in this grid is cleared, then they can turn that grid back on. And then if you have, say your house is still standing, but it had 3 or 4 feet of water in it, Now, you have to make sure that your electric panel is good and that nothing is shorted out inside the house. Now, if the house moved off its foundation, which a lot of them will, when the waves pound on it and pound on it, the house will move. And I think that's what made it so devastating, is it was such a slow-moving storm. You get maybe an hour of the surf pounding on the house, pushing the house, trying to push the walls in. That's one thing. But when it takes 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and then the eye of the storm goes over, and then you get more on the other side of the waves and the wind pushing on the house, the house eventually gives up and it caves in. If you look at what happened to Fort Myer Beach, some of the businesses, the only things left are the side walls. The waves came up and the wind came up and it pushed the front of the building, which is usually glass, like a bar or a restaurant or something like that, pushed the front of the building right through the building and out the back wall. And everything inside is gone. Everything is pushed out the back somewhere into an alley or into the next block. So you really can't save that kind of a thing. So that has to be all disconnected. The electric, I don't know if they're going to bulldoze it. Probably they're going to bulldoze most of that stuff down there, just for the corrosion factor. You can't put all that salt water into an electrical panel, into your wiring in your home. The brackish water gets into the walls and everything, and you're going to have problems with mold and mildew for years to come if you try and reuse any of that. So pretty much anything that had water in it is going to have to be gutted or torn down and maybe rebuilt. I think the Army Corps of Engineers is going to come in and they're going to say, okay, this much of the beach is gone. We're not going to rebuild that. So you people that had a house here, it's now underwater. Your lot is now under 3 feet of water. You're done. You don't have a lot here anymore. See your insurance company, because we're not going to bring in tons of sand and try to extend the beach out 50, 75 yards like it used to be. And then you're going to have to build your house on freshly moved sand. It's not going to work. So a lot of those people are just out of luck. Okay. So it's going to take a while to get that going in the right direction. I know they've had the Red Crosses down there, and some other religious groups have set up places at churches where you can get clean clothes and food and things like that, and even camp there. That have temporary shelters there where you can wait until they let you back into your property to see if there's anything there to save. So my hat's off to all the first responders that are saving people. There was even, I saw a rescue where some people tried to stay on their boat. It was a yacht. Okay, I won't call it a boat. It was a yacht, maybe 40, 50 foot long. They tried to stay on that, and they wound up 200, 400 yards inland in the corner of some intersection on their lot, and they had to be rescued from there. So people are crazy. Oh, it never hits us. Oh, I've never had a problem. I've lived here for 40 years. It can be pretty bad, because I've seen the Jersey Shore where they had hurricanes up north, where that nor'easter came in and just ripped everything up. Mother Nature is really mean. I mean, it will tear up everything in its path, and it will keep pounding on it with the waves. It will keep pushing on it with the wind until it's gone. It just wipes it out. So that's it's a shame, but that's reality. So we'll see what they're able to do. Rebuilding the road to Sanibel Island is going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years. If you've seen it, a lot of the sand or a lot of the peninsula that the roads were built on are gone, and the asphalt just collapsed into deep water. So I don't know what they're going to do there. I'd be surprised if they even let them build their houses back on that island, because it's such a disaster. Well, anyway, here's the other interesting thing about that. The ground now is so soggy, it's hard to rebuild roads. That's going to have to dry out before you can put down stone and put down asphalt, everything like that. And if you're familiar with those areas, the heavy trucks really do put waves in the road. When you go down the road down there in Florida, it goes down and up as you ride along, because it's so soggy underneath the roads. There's a lot of water in Florida. That's all I can tell you about that. The other thing that you don't think about, and you didn't hear about this on TV, okay? If you have an electric car, a Tesla or something like that, you're screwed. what are you going to do? It's going to be a week or 2 weeks before you get electric back. Your charging system is gone, so you're not going to be able to reuse that. They're all going to have to be ripped out and replaced. And even evacuating. Okay? You're going to evacuate and you get stuck in traffic. Okay, so it says you have 400 miles of charge if you were able to get your car fully charged before you had to evacuate. So when you are stuck in traffic and you're going slow and you have the air conditioning running, you're not going to go 400 miles. You're going to go like 210 miles. It cuts it in half. Okay? So, and if you don't, if you disagree with me, send me a comment. Tell me about your Tesla, how far you got in a hurricane, how you were able to escape hundreds and hundreds of miles away to get out of the path of the storm with an electric car. I don't see it. Okay, like I said on one of the other videos we did here, one of the other live streams, it has to be another alternative to this. There's so many ways to make multi-fuel vehicles. They can run on corn oil, olive oil, vegetable oil, hydrogen, natural gas, something where you can stop, fill up your fuel system in 10 minutes and then drive on. If you're trying to evacuate an electric car from Florida, where you're going to drive from there to Orlando, which is 2 hours away, 150 miles. Now you got to get it recharged so you can maybe make it to Georgia, to the Georgia line, if you're familiar with the geography down there. And it's going to take you 3-4 hours to get a charge, to get fully charged so you can drive 280 miles. Okay? So what are you going to do? You're going to have to drive 4 hours and then charge the car for 4 hours. Then you have to drive for 4 hours and then charge the car for 4 hours. Doesn't make sense to me. I know they're nice. I know they're really nice. I've ridden in some dual motor Teslas and everything. They are fun. They're really quick and everything like that. But when you get into a situation like this, now you're staying in a motel in Georgia somewhere where you got out of Florida or you went inland. Now you're thinking about, well, I'm going to go back home and see if my house is still there. There's no place to charge your car. So once you drive there, you're stuck there. You might be stuck there for weeks. I have to say that the last thing they're probably going to worry about is hooking up the charging stations for the Teslas and the other electric cars to get recharged. That's probably last on the list. They're trying to get the shelters with electricity. They're trying to get the food distribution places hooked up with electricity. Those kind of things where you can get food and water and gasoline and things like that are going to be the priority so that people can go there and survive there. Okay, you want to bring an RV? Fine, bring an RV, bring a tent, sleep on your property. You can get food, you can get water, and it's all in the local area. But an electric vehicle, I don't even know if they thought about that. You're just stuck. What are you going to do? I mean, think about it. But anyway, that's one of the things that came up. A multi-fuel vehicle is possible. They have them, and we're not using them. A diesel engine that runs on vegetable oil is 90% clean burning exhaust. It's 90% cleaner than running it on gasoline. Okay? Now, you can argue, okay, well, an electric vehicle doesn't give out any pollution, but the electric provider is polluting the air somewhere else. It's either a nuclear reactor or some kind of a fueled generating station that's sending the power down line so you can charge your electric vehicle. So there's still pollution going into the air. It still takes you 4 to 6 hours to charge your vehicle. I think we're going the wrong direction with that. It's only my opinion. Okay, I think it was Jay Leno said a long time ago that probably what's going to happen, and I kind of agree with him, everybody's going to have an electric car for using around day to day. If you have to get in a car and go somewhere, you want to go on a long trip or something, you have to have a gasoline car because you can drive 500-600 miles on a gasoline car, stop, takes 10 minutes to fill it up, and you're off again for another 300-400 miles. That's what you need to get around and be efficient. Okay, doesn't have to burn gasoline, doesn't have to burn diesel fuel. It just needs some kind of a fuel source that does not pollute. Don't tell me you can't come up with an idea for that. It's crazy. It's too easy. I can think of it, and I'm no genius. So there's got to be a way to have a fueled vehicle that goes to a filling station, not a charging station. Okay, so you could bring the tanker and fill up everybody's car, and they could all leave, or they can go back and forth. So it's pretty easy. I don't know. I can't see where they're going to bring in some big generator and hook up charging stations so you can charge your Tesla down there. I'm not seeing it. I haven't seen it. And the other thing I thought was very interesting, nobody's mentioning that that's an issue. So we'll see what happens with that. I want to go back to the soccer game. Saw a guy at the soccer game today had a I served in Vietnam hat. There's some guys out there that have hats that say Vietnam era veteran. They were in the military, but they never left the States. They were in some kind of another organization where they were just a support person, were serving, not trying to make fun of their service, okay? They were in the service during the Vietnam War, but they weren't in a combat situation. Some of us were, I was in the engineers. We got combat pay. I wasn't out there stomping through the jungle with an M16, trying to find the guys, to find the enemy, but we were there to support the guys that were doing that. So that's a whole different ballgame. So my hat's off to the veteran there. I did talk to him for a while. He was stationed over there. I think he said he was in Da Nang. I forget what unit he said he was with, but they're out there. Very proud of him. And, like TJ and the other guys that are on here with Vietnam stories are very, very interesting. My hat's off to them. It finally starting to get some recognition about what went on over there, and that the guys did serve, and they were in a lot of danger. So my hat's off to them. The other thing I talked about before was the Agent Orange issue. It's still an issue. Most of us are in our late 60s, early 70s that were there, and now they're uncovering the Camp Lejeune problem with the water, about how it was polluted. Whether they knew it or not, I don't think they knew it, and they were just letting everybody drink the tainted water. I can't believe they would do that. They didn't find out about it until later, but they didn't tell anybody, hey, when you were here, the water was tainted. You better get checked out. They just didn't say anything. So, watch for the news on that. If you have any of those symptoms, please get signed up for the benefits that you deserve. I know I've made quite a few phone calls here about Agent Orange. If you watched any of my videos, I had several spots of basal cell carcinoma, skin cancer. But I got them on my face and my shoulders. I even got them on the top of my legs between my knee and my hip, which never sees the sun. Okay, so don't tell me I spent too much time in the sun, and it's a problem. So anyway, I'm pursuing that, see if we can do anything with that. If you have any of those symptoms, if you've served in the military, go to the websites for the military, for the VA, and they offer different screenings there. Get it checked out. Okay. All right. That's enough of an advertisement for the military, but you deserve it. If you put in your time in the military, you deserve to go get the benefits. So go ahead and try and do that. If you're out there and you want to comment on something, give me a comment. Always glad to answer the comments. Just sign in and tell me you're there. I appreciate that too, because I can see how many people are watching, but I don't know who they are. So right now I'm looking at waiting for comments to come in. Send me the comment. Not that hard. The other thing let's talk about military things too. I always wanted to talk about the Ukraine war. It's getting very dangerous. Okay. What has happened here recently, if you're trying to keep up with it, Putin has set up where he's trying to draft another 300,000 soldiers. Now, there's been complaints and reports that these soldiers are not getting the proper training. They're just being drafted. They're given a physical. They're shown a little bit about what they're going to be asked to do, and they're being sent out to the front lines. And that's in Ukraine, okay? Or they're building them up in other places, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that the latest thing they did is what made it really dangerous is where Russia has occupied Ukraine. Now, they still got military there trying to hold on to the territory, but what they did in some of the cities on the eastern side of Ukraine, they have installed a mayor, a Russian mayor, a Russian police chief, a Russian fire chief, and they're moving Russians into the town. And they're claiming that this town is annexed and is now part of Russia. Okay? So if you want to go and try to take that town back, Russia's not seeing it that way. Russia's seeing that you're attacking part of Russia because they have said this place has been liberated and it's now part of Russia. So now you're not trying to free Ukraine anymore. You're actually invading Russia. That's the way he wants to look at it, that you're invading a Russian city. So he can claim that he's defending his territory now. He's not the aggressor. He's now the defender of his country. So, let's see where that goes. But NATO is still standing by. People are starting to complain about all the money we're pouring into Ukraine. It's 2022. Are we really going to let one country just invade and take over another country? Is that where we are? And then you read about it that they're building up troops and they're putting heavy Air Force presence at the border with Finland, because Finland has never joined NATO, and now that they said they want to join NATO for protection, Russia is threatening them. They're going to cut off their oil and gas, which they buy from Russia, because the local people in Finland don't want them to drill for oil and gas in Finland, so now they're beholden to Russia to get the gas from them. It's so silly. You could have your own fuel source in Finland, and you're not doing it because the environmentalists, and a lot of these environmentalist groups are being funded by Russia in Europe. Oh, you shouldn't be drilling for oil here, you shouldn't be drilling for oil there, we have to save the planet. Well, we have to buy the oil from somewhere, and then Russia raises their hand and said, I'll sell you oil. And really, when you get down to it, that's what Ukraine is about. Ukraine isn't about anything but power, okay? Ukraine is rich in oil. They have plenty of natural gas reserves there and resources that have to be tapped into. Ukraine has many nuclear reactors, including Chernobyl. Now, they did screw up there, and there's still like a 30-mile circle around Chernobyl. You can't go anywhere near it for an hour or two is the most you can spend in there, and you have to get out of town. It's this, if you ever seen the videos, watch the videos on YouTube of Chernobyl. It's completely empty. Everybody had to leave right now. Anything that's metal is now radioactive. The thing that's interesting is the wildlife has survived. The deer, the wolves, the birds, the bees, the ants, all those things are surviving in that heavy radioactive environment. Now, one of the things they say that causes that is the birds have been through 7 generations since the Chernobyl accident. The wolves, the deer, the bees, all those animals regenerate every year. 2 years, a deer is due to reproduce after 2 or 3 years. So there's like 5 different generations that have lived through and evolved to live in an environment where you have radioactivity, where humans don't do that. Humans, a generation is 40 years, 50 years, something like that, 20 years maybe. But for you to adapt to that kind of an environment, you have to be like one of the mammals that are there, and even the fish are doing well because they reproduce. So over 10 years, there might be 5, 6, 7 generations of those species that have adapted to the high radioactivity in the area, but a human doesn't do that. So after we're there 15, 20, 30 years, the radioactivity eats you up inside. You get cancer, you get leukemia, you get all those other things that the radioactive exposure to the radioactivity does to a human body. The animals seem to have evolved past that. So it's very interesting. I know they're trying to study that to see why they're able to do that. And it looks like we do evolve to live in the environment that we're left with, okay? But anyway, so Russia is really trying to push the envelope on this. Putin does not plan on losing. He is not going to lose. This guy is crazy. I truly believe that he will use nuclear weapons, and he's trying to set it up where he can say that, hey, you're invading Russia because you're now invading those towns that he has annexed from Ukraine, and now he's justified in using nuclear weapons to defend his country. Because I truly believe if we try to drive him out of Ukraine at this point, he is going to try to ruin Ukraine. So if he can't have it, nobody can have it. I mean, that's the way this guy thinks. I think he's lost 50 or 60,000 troops. He's lost hundreds and hundreds of pieces of equipment, artillery, fighter planes, helicopters, transportation. They've just taken so much of a terrible loss. And you have to give credit to the weapons. In Vietnam, we had an M79 grenade launcher. We had a 60 caliber machine gun, which I usually had to carry because I was 6'2" and weighed about 200 pounds and a lot stronger than I am today. But so I got stuck with the machine gun. I had guys with shotguns. Everybody had an M16, and most of us had a 45, and that's the weapons that you had. They did have what they called a law. I think it was a Swedish anti-tank, or it was like a bazooka kind of a weapon. The Vietnamese really didn't have any tanks or heavy equipment. They didn't have any kind of an air force or helicopters or anything. So they were just, hiding, and they would hit and run. Guerrilla warfare is how we beat the British. I mean, that's it. We didn't have the organized and fully equipped military like the British did, but we were able to inflict enough damage on them that they had to give up. Well, I don't think Russia's going to give up. The Ukraine army has some very sophisticated weapons. They have drones. They have high-flying drones. They have satellite imaging that's coming into play here, and I really do think we're supplying them with all the information. Here's where they are. Here's where you can hit them where it's going to hurt the most. We think this is an ammo dump. This is where all the senior officers seem to be housed at this point. These are the things you have to do. Here's missiles that will reach that place. If you go to this location and launch the missiles, they should reach those designated targets. So we're being very successful with that. We have some just terrible weapons that inflict all kinds of damage. And a lot of the Russian soldiers are afraid. I mean, if you've ever been that kind of a thing, everybody's afraid. If you have the superior weapons and you have some success, you're still afraid, but you're happy that you're able to move forward. So the offenses and counteroffenses and things like that, we'll see how this plays out. But, Russia's being backed into a corner. Putin's being backed into a corner. Did you watch any of the videos about the uprisings in, Iran? We could talk about that on a different show. But in Russia, the people want out of there. They think it's wrong, and it is wrong in 2022 to go invade another country and try to take over their resources, because that's what it is. He wants the power. He wants the oil. He wants the gas. He wants the food that can be produced there, because Ukraine is rich in fertile soil, and they produce a lot of grains and things like that, and they're feeding a good part of Europe and South America with what they can produce. So they want that. They have the seaports there that are on the Black Sea, which Russia doesn't have a lot of those year-round ports. That's why they took over Crimea years ago, so they would have that. And they moved in Russian citizens to make that a Russian part of Russia. So at this point, getting that back to him, to Putin, is like you're trying to take part of Russia away from him, although he took it from you. So go figure that out. So now it's mine, and you're trying to take it from me, so now you're the thief. I'm not the thief for taking it from you in the beginning. You're the thief for trying to take it back from me. So anyway, that's going to go nowhere. I don't know how you solve that. I really don't. the buildup along the Finland border is very concerning. Now, Finland and Sweden have applied for NATO membership, which means we'd all have to stomp in there and defend them. Same thing with Ukraine. Ukraine wants to accelerate their application to join the UN because they're getting tired. They've taken some losses, some heavy losses. They've kept all the men, I think from 18 to 60, had to stay in the country to fight. Not all of them are fighting. They're bringing in supplies, they're bringing in ammo, they're all support personnel, which you need good support personnel to keep the military, the soldiers fighting. You need to have a good support. They need food, they need ammo, they need water, they need medicine. They need those kind of things brought to them where they are in the front line. You can't fight and then go back to fill up your canteen, okay? Somebody has to bring that to you because you have to establish this position and keep your position. So we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot going on there, and if they do get NATO membership, like I said, I don't want to get sucked into this because it's going to get ugly. And I don't think he would hesitate to try and hit United States here inside our borders to try and make us stop helping Ukraine. So, and I know we're playing a lot of games with the Navy. There's an aircraft carrier in that area now with a whole group. We got another group over there in China because China's trying to start some stuff with Taiwan. They're threatening to take it over. And you just have to look as what they did with what the colony that England gave back, okay, Hong Kong. So that Hong Kong was a British colony. They were under their own government. They were part of Britain. They were, things like that. Although they were located on the China border, China tolerated them because trade and things like that were going through there. And Britain decided to give it up and told China they could have it back. Well, China put up with, China promised if you give it back, we won't interfere. We'll let them self-govern themselves. So it'll be like a small little country that's part of our country, but not really, and we'll use it as a good trading partner. Well, all that changed because China went in. They tried to impose their rules there. They tried to impose the government crackdown. They had a lot of protests, and you didn't hear anything about it after that. They went in. They arrested everybody who was a dissident, put them in jail, never heard from them again. They brought in their own people to run the place, not an elected official, but an appointed official. Police chief, policemen, military were all sent in to take over. Now Hong Kong is under communist control. A whole different way of life over there. Some of the things are being allowed to continue. Not all things are being allowed to continue under communist rule. Recently, they've frozen everybody or taken everybody's savings. Excuse me here for a minute. They've taken everybody's savings because they're afraid that the people that have enough money will find a way to buy themselves a ticket out of China or out of Hong Kong. And so they froze all those assets. You can't get your savings accounts out of there. They don't want people to have money to be able to go do that stuff. And if you're going to fly out of the country on business and go, so they can go have control over you to make sure you're going to come back to the country. You're just not going to leave with your family and never come back. So it's really bizarre as to what's going on there. And, I'm not trying to get into the local politics here. There's a lot of stuff going on that I don't think is right. Some people say they have a complete different view. They think it's fine what's going on. It's needed to go on, censorship and all that. And the only thing I can tell you is everybody needs to vote. No matter what your policy is, whatever you believe in, please register and please vote. And let's have an honest election and majority rules. I mean, that's the way it is. Okay? Electoral College gives every state a voice in what goes on. So I want to keep that, but everybody has to vote. I got some kind of an alert going on here. Okay, never mind. No big deal. So that's what's going on with that. Finland, they want to accelerate their NATO membership so that they get the protection of NATO. It's probably a good thing. We should let those people in so they be part of it. Okay, let's change it up here. That's too depressing with that. One of the things that we talked about last time was football. Now we're here in Pittsburgh, Steelers fan. Steelers are struggling right now. We got 3 or 4 different quarterbacks. We're sticking with the one quarterback for now. We're 1 win, 2 losses. We're playing the Jets tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. We're playing the Jets tomorrow, and it is getting cold here in the garage. I think it's about 45 degrees out, and you can feel the wind shaking the garage door. So Steelers play tomorrow, and I think that's one of the best things. That's what everybody talks about, the football team, who won, who lost, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. And you get together, you enjoy the game together with friends and family. You gather around the TV with some wings and some bowl of chips or something to watch the game and cheer for your team. It's not like baseball. Baseball's kind of laid back, and you just, they play 9 innings, and there's no clock. You just play until it's over. Where football, you got a clock. You're going to run out of time. You got to manipulate your timeouts. You got to send everything that way. There's 11 guys involved in every play. It's not just the batter and the pitcher duel it out. If he hits the ball, then everybody else gets to do something. So I think football is one of the most exciting games, and soccer is the same way. That everybody can get involved, everybody can cheer for their team, and it's only once a week, that your team plays. So I think that's important, and even for youth sports. I said that before, and I know a couple guys, older guys that are in their 20s and 30s, that like to watch, they like to play video games. So they're always on there with what's one of the military games, Something of Honor or something like that. And I said, well, when you play that, does everybody get a trophy? Well, no. I said, then you win or you lose. Is that right? Well, yeah. I said, well, what do you think about when you're playing, t-ball, or you're playing baseball or something like that in a youth league, when they don't want to keep score, they don't want anybody to lose? Well, that's part of what you have to learn to survive. You have to be able to. Hey, how you doing? Good. Checking in? Good. Give me a comment.
All right.
So you have to be able to take the. Sorry about that. The technician's checking in on me because they don't want to stay out here. It's so cold. But anyway, so you learn about winning and losing and working hard to try and get better. So if you lose, you don't lose that bad. You make it close. You almost won is even better than getting blown out. Maybe the first time you go and you play soccer. I know I watched it with the girls that were playing today. My granddaughter was playing today. When you first play, your girls don't want to bump into each other. They don't want to be mean. They don't want to push each other and all that. So somebody would kick the ball, and if somebody got there first, everybody would stand back and let her kick it, and they would run and they would try to get there first. And if I got there first and I was allowed to kick it, because everybody would back up because I got there first and then I got to kick it. They're not playing that way anymore, okay? Now it's late in the season. We've already played 6 or 7 games. Now we're bumping each other. We're stepping in front of each other. We're touching the ball or kicking the ball before you can kick it. Even though you got there first, I'm not going to let you kick it without some kind of resistance from me. And so you learn that you can play defense or you can play offense, and what you have to do to win, to be successful. I think those are important lessons when you get kids involved with youth sports. They have to win. They have to lose. They have to learn the rules. They have to know how to play as a team. Whenever you get into any kind of a business, you have to be a team player. You don't want to try to sabotage your co-workers' reputation and things like that. People do that. I think that's wrong. If you're in a sales organization, you try to steal a sale from somebody, they've been working on it, the customer calls in, looking for the person, and oh, he's not available, and you go ahead and you take the sale and you take credit for it, like you didn't know that they were waiting to get a call back. So it's really wrong. So you have to learn how to play. You have to learn how to play fair. You have to learn how to play by the rules. And if you work hard, you can get better at it, and you can be successful. So I think that's really important to do that. Okay. So that's enough about sports. I love sports. It's going to a couple of basketball games tomorrow, Sunday. Really looking forward to that too. And then the Steelers play at 1:00. The Jets. Don't forget. The other thing that's coming in with the sports now is this gambling, the betting. And pretty much you can bet on anything. I'm not on FanDuel. Any of you are on FanDuel, give me a comment. I'd like to hear about it, see what's going on there. I've heard about their apps that you can bet on who's going to punt first, who's going to get the first down, who's going to win, what the point spreads are, and different things like that. So you can bet on, I know boxing, you can bet on football, soccer, baseball. I'm not sure if you can bet on tennis, but I'm sure you can. Okay. Golf. But almost any sport you want to get involved in, you can bet on now. Let me get another drink here. So gambling is becoming a big part of society. You know, there was a joke the other day that everything they were locking up the mafia for, drugs, prostitution, alcohol, gambling, they locked all those guys up, put them all out of business, the family businesses. Now the government is running everything that way. So it's very profitable. People want to do it. And the other thing is that I don't agree with is the drugs. Okay? They're having a problem here in a lot of the cities about the drug problem, about the fentanyl and the cocaine, people laying on the streets in downtown Pittsburgh, urinating in the streets, pooping in the streets, setting up a tent outside of a business. Aggressive panhandling is becoming a real problem. Give me some money. I need some money. Buy me something. Give me some money. And if you don't give them the money, they follow you around. They scream in your ear. They get right up in your face. It's horrible. So Pittsburgh is trying to do something about it. I don't know exactly what. I know they're going to build another shelter, but the shelter they're going to build is right downtown Pittsburgh. So they're going to come out of the shelter and they're going to be able to bother the people that are downtown. Now there's a push to try and get people to stop working from home. They want them to come back down to the high-rise buildings in the city, which it's very nice, a very nice place, the city. I worked down there for a while. So if you come into town and you go into your building, it's really hard to go out to lunch, because if you go out to lunch, you have to step over people that are sleeping in the sidewalk. People bother you about giving them money. And if you go and buy something to eat and you're trying to get back to your office, they want to take that from you. And there's some instances where people are afraid and they don't want to go back downtown. Well, now the business owners are going to the local government and are saying, hey, you got to do something about this. I can't have my employees not want to come to work. That we know they've been working remote because of the pandemic. They don't want to come down here because of the crime in the inner city. Here in Pittsburgh, which is usually a pretty calm little town, it's not like Philadelphia, L.A., New York, the other bigger cities, but we have those problems too. Carjackings. There was a shooting at a local amusement park. 15-year-old kids had a gun, and they're shooting other kids. I mean, there was even an adult shot. Okay, nobody got killed. Everybody got wounded, leg wounds and things like that. But what is going on? Why is that okay to do that? I just don't get it. All right. I don't like guns. I've seen what a gun can do to somebody when somebody gets shot with especially a military grade weapon. When they say they had a long gun or they had an AR-15, devastating. I mean, it just ruins your body. It rips the flesh off the bone. It's horrible. So it's not a game. I mean, if you play video games, Call of Duty or something like that, I think that's one of them. Going around shooting people for fun, that's not it. People die and they don't come back to life. You don't get 3 or 4 lives, and you get to come back and you get that little dot on the thing that says you're running out of life. That's not how it works. You shoot somebody, they're never right again. You shatter their bone, you ruin their nerves, something like that. You don't recover 100% from a gunshot wound. You really don't. So I don't know what it is that makes everybody think it's okay to do that. But so they have to straighten those out. And those casinos are opening everywhere. The local 7-Eleven here now has slot machines. You win. I think if you win, you get your payment in a 7-Eleven gift card. So, okay, you get some free gas. So they say it's free, but if you put $20 in, you want a $20 gift card, you really kind of broke even. But those are the kinds of things going on. They got gambling. They got those kind of things. And, just the random shootings. I noticed today I had to buy gas today. I went to a couple of different places, and all the gas is from, I think the cheapest one I saw was $3.85. I wound up paying $3.99 because I had a gift card at one of the gas stations here, Giant Eagle gas station, which is a grocery store that also has gas stations. And I paid $3.99 for that. I did have a perk, 10 cents a gallon, so I actually paid $3.89. It still costs $50 to fill up a little car. I got a little 4-cylinder Hyundai. So it's a lot of money to spend on that kind of thing. Now, I don't have to drive far. I don't, use a lot of gas. Tank of gas will last me 2 weeks, easy, something like that. So, I'm spending $100 a month on fuel, where some people are spending $100 a week instead of $50 a week. If you drive, and that's what's driving the price of groceries and everything else up. It comes off a boat from China. They put it on the railroad, or they put it on a truck. And that trucker is paying $800 to fill up his tank or more with 200 or 300 gallons of diesel fuel. What's diesel fuel now? $6 a gallon? I don't know. Let me know what you're paying in your area for diesel fuel. There's a lot of truckers out there. So what's 200 or 300 gallons at $6 a gallon? I don't know. What is it? $600? $6,000? It's a lot of money. So you don't want to really get caught up in that. Well, it's getting pretty cold here, and I think I'm going to wrap it up. We're going to do this again next Saturday night. I might not. We might go out of town for the weekend, so I'll have to get back to you on that. I'll let you know during the week what we're going to do. Appreciate some comments. Could always use more comments. Definitely need more subscribers. Please be a subscriber. I'll continue to do some more videos here. The winter's coming. The weekends have been really busy with sports. Like I said, we got 2 basketball games in the morning with my one grandson. Then we're going to watch the Steelers game in the afternoon. The lawn has to be cut. Hasn't been cut in 2 weeks because of the rain. Definitely going to try to get that done tomorrow. But thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. I really appreciate the comments and the new subscribers. Tell me what you think of the show. I'd like to continue doing it. I really enjoy this. I don't know how the radio guys do it. You got to talk for 3 hours. But you get a break. You get people around you that can help you. Like I say, my crew is down at the studio watching from in there. They did come up, give me a thumbs up that we were doing okay here with the sound and the video and everything. The production was going well. So, we're live here in the garage, and we're going to continue to do it from here. I think it'll be fun, even when it's really cold. So we're going to try to do it then, too. Okay, thanks for watching Mike's Garage. Be a subscriber, and do something nice for a stranger. That's always fun to do. Okay, have a good night, everybody.